one last story in the saga of all the stories. So I had a student back in the day, and his roommate knew about my Kung Fu. Him and one of his roommates, he studied with me. One of his roommates was going to study with me, but I was testing him to see if he was sincere, and he failed that test. But then the third roommate, for whatever his reasons are, he decided to go learn some karate, right? And then my student was moonlighting, right? And that's not good, especially within the first 3 years of training, right? And first 3 years of training, they would traditionally say, don't even peek at the martial arts. Now, Sun Tzu in the Art of War, they would say, if you haven't trained somebody fully trained for at least 7 years, and you let them go do what they put them on the battlefield, that's sending them to their death sentence, right? So keep that in mind. First 5 years, my Sifu didn't even speak to me for the first 5 years. Anyways, make a long story short. So my student that was moonlighting with this guy who was learning some martial arts, the guy taught him a certain grab, and the grab is like if somebody's, right, and this is how it relates to, security, right? So we did a lot of security, right? Oh God, man. Crowds, riots. Anyways, so this grab, he taught him to grab in this manner, which if you grab somebody this way, chances are, if you grab them, right, even if they don't know what they're doing, if the person that you grab doesn't know what they're doing, chances if you put your hand in a position to be broken. This guy was paying money, big money, to learn this shit, right? I say, if you grab somebody this way, you better have a flexible and be ready to turn and grab it this way, because otherwise it gets broke. So what happened was he was trying to show me this lock, and he grabbed me this way instead of grabbing me the correct way. And then he became overly steadfast with the grab, and he held on to it and wouldn't let go. And it was a Thanksgiving, and we were at that guy's house, right? And part of the Thanksgiving deal was we were supposed to help haul this couch over the balcony into their new place. His name was Dana. Hey, Dana. Right? And my student's name was Johnny. Hey, Johnny. And I don't know. They may chime in on this channel if they're looking, but I don't know. Whatever. Right? They got their lives. But here's what happened. Right? So Johnny decided to spar with me. Do some what they call gong sao, right? Let the hands do the talking. At Dana's place, and and we're mixing it up and so forth. And Johnny grabbed me the way Dana taught him to grab me, and I told him, I said, "Hey, remember I told you, don't grab people that way, because if you do, you're in a very vulnerable position to get your arm broke." Right? And I told him in that moment, it's like, hey, remember what I said, right? And he's like, oh, yeah. So then we mixed it up a little bit more, and he grabbed me that way again. And he locked onto it, right? And at that moment, I just shrugged. And it caused a spiraling break to go all the way up his arm, right? Right, come on, man, I feel bad, right? But and it was just the slightest shrug, But it was an example of that yang energy coming up, right? Gravity coming down through the body, right? The force of gravity, right? The terminal velocity of gravity. Think about the terminal velocity of gravity is about, depending on the size of the object, it's around 180, 190 miles an hour. Is the speed of gravity, basically. Right? So all that coming down through me and then rebounding off the ground, coming up through the fulcrums of my two fulcrums of my feet, the knees, the hips, and then being multiplied by the waist, and then the fulcrums of the elbow, the shoulder, the elbow, right? And then the turning of the, right? In Chinese Kung Fu, they call it Fa Ging, or explosive power, right? Or plyometrics. Okay, call it what you want. And and it's effortless. You don't even feel it. If you're using the fulcrums correctly, you wouldn't even know how much power you have. They would just go flying. But yeah, that's what happened. It caused a spiraling break, up through his arm. And he looked at me. He's like, hero. He's like, let's stop. And I go, wow, what's going on? And he goes, I think you broke my arm. I was like, no way. Right. So we went on through the rest of the Thanksgiving, ate and all that kind of stuff. The next day, sure enough, Johnny came back with a cast. I got so many stories. Once upon a time, one of my classmates was saying that, my Sifu in class never talks about iron palm or iron body or fa ging or fa jing, right? And I was like, dude, you've been standing right next to me for decades, and what do you mean? Right? And then he was saying, well, I want Kung Fu training. I don't want philosophy. And I was like, most people don't get it. Kung Fu training is only so good, and it has its limitations. But the real Kung Fu training has training of the mind and the subconscious and the unconscious mind. And that's based in the philosophy. If you don't have the mind and you don't have the body, if you don't have the body, you don't have the mind, then yin and yang. You don't have yin and yang coming together and working together. The same guy, he used to ask me, what kind of bricks do you buy to practice breaking bricks on? Right? And I told him the truth. I said, if you're practicing on how to break bricks by breaking bricks, then you got it all backwards. Like, if you practice the 8 golden treasures, the punching and the kicking, and like, for example, limpo enough, bricks will break all by themselves. And that's the reality of it. Most people don't have the patience or the work ethics or the capacity to have the mental faculties to comprehend that kind of stuff. And, it takes time. It's gradual, it takes time. But, yeah, man. Yeah, good story. Good time, good fun. But yeah, I don't know if anybody has done it ever since I did it. It was one Chinese New Year's at Monterey Park at the street festival for, I think it was Chinese New Year's or the Lantern Festival. But yeah, I had 4 bricks on 2 cinder blocks. I broke them with, the 1-inch soft palm. And then I took the cinder blocks that were left over, put it on my stomach. A student run up and crack it across my stomach. And then I put one across my spine. A student crack it across my spine. There was one time where I actually took a brick and put it on my head, and a student come up with a sledgehammer and cracked it on my head. And, that kind of stuff. People talk about, all their different types of training and all that kind of stuff. And you know what? I'm not going to talk about, the type of conditioning and the type of training that I did over the years that, is not even fair. But, what the martial arts really is about, it really didn't sink in until many decades after training was, Kung Fu is really about self-improvement and self-defense and family building and warding off tyranny. That's what the real Kung Fu is about. It's about those 4 elements. And it's interesting because my Sifu and I have an interesting relationship. Man, I got nothing but love and respect. I'm so full of gratitude. I can't even talk about it without getting all emotional. Right? And I'm so grateful for my Sifu, right? Taking me in, to know me, taking me in and sharing his culture, and all this culture with me. Right? I believe that, I'm an old Kung Fu spirit, and it all comes together and it separates and it comes together and over and over and over, and we never die. Old Kung Fu spirits always live on. Let's see, with that being said, I don't think there was anybody in the amongst my classmates and juniors and seniors that did that type of hard qigong demonstration in public other than me. And even to this day, to my knowledge, I haven't seen anyone do it. And only reason why I was able to do it was because of, I just kept doing those 8 golden treasures, Limpo, the basic punches and kicks. There's other stuff too, the Tantui, but I just trained on that, primarily trained on that. And, when it comes to fighting and all that kind of stuff, truth is I don't want to fight. That's when people start going to the hospital and, and it's a lose-lose situation. Oh, you're a martial artist. He kicked me. He killed me. Oh, right. People start fights and then they play the victim, or, and then, even if I win, right, I win the fight, but he's a trained martial artist. I've had that. People call the cops on me and then he's a black belt, right? After they start it, right? They FAFO'd and then they call the cops on me. Right? And then I've also had it. The other side of it is that, I've been practicing all these years. Anyone can win or lose a fight. Somebody get one punch in on me, lucky or whatever. And then they'll say, oh, I was able to, he's been studying all these years, but I got him. So it's a lose-lose situation no matter what you do. Right? Think about it. All right? Best thing to do is, protect yourself and all this kind of stuff. It's a dilemma situation, and there's lots of factors. And that's why the philosophy has to be there, because if your mindset is right, people will unconsciously know not to mess with you, or they will acquiesce to whatever parameters that you're establishing or boundaries that you're establishing. And, and then if you have the mind combined with the actual skills to back yourself up and all that kind of stuff, it's all good. Many good dividends along the way, and health benefits and all that kind of stuff. I bet my life, put my life on the line countless times, or enough times, let me put it that way. And here I am. Anyway, I still got my teeth, most of them anyways. See the chit, right? Only one who chipped my teeth was my senior classmate. Hey, Troy, what's up? Respects, dude. Right? And people ask me, do you spar in Kung Fu class? It's like, no. Oh, well, yeah, I heard Kung Fu doesn't spar. It's like, no, we don't spar. We don't spar. Right? What I'm really saying is that, no, we don't spar. We try to kill each other. True facts. All right. Many broken noses, broken ribs, busted teeth. Right? Yeah. Okay. Anyways, yeah. So respects to all, and practice your Kung Fu. Come to class.
Breathing with me, relaxing deeply, mindfulness and consciousness. Let yourself